Lots of us watched Jurassic Park as a kid, and if you're a dino kid like me, it probably got you into dinosaurs, and maybe even paleontology itself. But did you know that paleontologists' research can span millions of years before dinosaurs even existed?
My name is Bohus. I am a senior at SIU majoring in zoology, and I study paleontological science through the Illinois State Geological Survey.
The specific animals that I'm studying right now are early tetrapods from the Carboniferous, roughly 320-ish million years old.
This animal specifically is one that I spend a lot of time studying, is Gruopaton. Gruopaton is a stem tetrapod from the Mississippian, 320-ish million years old. And I do a lot of work on this type of animal, it's a type of colosteid. Early tetrapods then evolve into some of these more complex forms, like the Metrodon here, or Thernaxodon, this mammal-like reptile. But I focus on some of the early, more primitive things, like this bad boy.
Caleb studies the Carboniferous, but today, we'll be going to a dig site that contains bones from the Devonian period, which was a time period that took place millions of years before the dinosaurs roamed the earth.
During the Devonian period, insects had already started evolving, so we already had terrestrial insects. We already had primitive forests, but there were no land tetrapods, nothing like that. Those won't evolve for quite a bit longer. Paleontology could be defined as just the study of ancient life or the study of fossils, which that's true, but it's actually a lot more deep than that. Paleontology is using fossils to study biology, ecology of the past, and studying evolution, studying all these different processes and how they can compare from the past to the present. So the site that we'll be going to is a beach on the Mississippi River on the Illinois side. And so thanks to rain and flooding, fossils constantly get washed up or, uncovered by the sands. But what's interesting about this site is that it's producing some primitive fish from the Devonian period, about 385 million years old. The Devonian period is often called the Age of Fishes, and this is when a lot of fish started radiating and evolving to all these other diverse forms.
So right now we're on the western side of Illinois, right on the Mississippi River. For this site, since a lot of just kind of walking around, looking at the ground, I don't really need much, but there's a lot of sand. So I'm bringing a lot of tools, this to magnify, to look a bit closer at a rock, see a fossil in it, brushes, maybe a little dental pick to kind of pick away something if I just want to look at something.
So what I typically wear on a dig really depends on the weather itself. Often I'll wear usually tough pants, maybe a button-up shirt, sometimes a cowboy hat. It really depends. Sometimes I'll have that almost cowboy rugged look.
For this site, a lot of the bone is this darker, rusty red color. There's a lot of rocks with that color on it, so that doesn't help a lot, but it kind of does narrow it down. Seeing the fossils for the first time before you go to a site is helpful because you can get that search image. Because if you are just told, hey, there's fossils at this site, you don't know what they look like. What is that? That doesn't tell me anything, but it's just kind of knowing what do the fossils look like in that area.
Well, earlier you told me to kind of wear something like this, and I kind of realized that you're not wearing that. Is there a reason for that?
Paleontology is extremely useful for understanding the present today. It's not just a study of old bones, dead animals. We can use these fossils to better understand evolution, how the animals that are around today evolved, but also understand how mass extinctions happen.
Whoa. Okay, that's actually really cool. What I found here, I don't know what it is actually. This is something new, I think. I don't know what it is. Man, okay. This at first I thought was just typical placoderm armor plate, but it's not. It doesn't have the same rugose ornamentation. Those bumps on it all look interconnected. I need to look at it closer in the lab, but it also has this blue coloration, that's not natural. It wouldn't occur in the animal like that. I did not think we were gonna find something new today.
So some of the fossils that we found at the dig site were very typical marine invertebrates, trilobites, corals, brachiopods, but luckily we found quite a bit of primitive placoderm fish material. For one visit, we found quite a bit of material. So what's really interesting about paleontology in Southern Illinois is we have a really complete sequence of stratigraphy here. So when you're looking at the Carboniferous, especially what I study, we have a lot of sites that kind of fill in these gaps of the Carboniferous. It makes it really interesting to study the stuff and compare. Us scientists, we don't tend to be great science communicators. We tend to publish our work directed towards other academics, other scientists. We need to be able to communicate our science to people who aren't scientists. I'd always wanted to study paleontology as a kid, but just kind of like never really did it. But I decided to email someone at the Field Museum and ask them, hey, how can I get into this field? And they pointed me in the right direction. And then I got in contact with the Illinois State Geological Survey down here in Southern Illinois. And now I'm working for them and I do all sorts of paleontology research. I think we need less gatekeeping. If teachers, professors, mentors really try to communicate and educate the younger generation, getting students into the field. Academia is usually very brutal. It's really hard to get into, and I don't think that's fair. I think academia should be accessible to all students. What I would say to a young scientist right now is don't give up. Even if you feel discouraged, just keep on doing it. You belong in this field. This is your field to study. It's hard work. You might feel like you don't belong here some days. Just keep on trucking. Keep on going.